It's recording.
It's a there we go. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you for saying yes and for being with us today, or being with me today. So I know you. I've done some research because I love your music. But do you mind introducing yourself to everyone? So,
Yeah, of course. I'm Chloe Berry. I'm an indie musician based in New York City. I was raised here too, and I've just been making music in my bedroom with my boyfriend slash producer for the past few years now. So yeah.
has music been like a thing for you all your life, or is this like a recent development? Has it been prevalent in like throughout your life?
So I've always like written songs. I've been like a prevalent like writer in general. So like I started off like when I was younger, like having like fake bands with my friends, and like we kind of just like made up songs, and like we're very inspired by like Hannah Montana and like wanted to be like pop stars. And that was like when I was very little, but like my family is very like musical, so they always like inspired me.
Wow. So do you know how to play any instruments then?
Yeah, I started off playing piano when I was younger. My mom, she plays, so she got me lessons, and that's what I was kind of trained on. But then I quit for like several years, and I just decided to kind of teach myself guitar. So that's what I mainly like write on now is guitar. But I kind of like am not like that great at it, but like
I'm
because I'm
sure you're
self-taught,
amazing.
but I try. So
That's really cool. So it takes a lot of motivation. It takes a lot of discipline to teach yourself. Are there any like other instruments that you think you'd like to learn in the future?
yeah, I would love to learn bass because like I think it's a really cool instrument to like play and sing with. But I have really small hands and like I'm just small in general.
It's possible. It's possible. Um, but cool. So would you say that your family is a very big musical inspiration for you, or like where does your inspiration come from?
Yeah, my family definitely shared with me like a lot of great music. My dad actually, he's a DJ part-time, so like he's a lawyer during the day and then at night he goes and like DJs.
Man, a double life.
Yeah, so he's always done that and been doing that since I was little. So he's always shown me like a lot of great music, and so is my mom. But my grandpa is like a self-taught musician, so I was like really inspired by him to like teach myself instruments. And so he bought me like my first guitar and stuff. So yeah.
Cute. So what are your own musical inspirations? Like what music did you discover on your own outside of your family?
I grew up listening to a lot of Fiona Apple. That was like the first like artist I found that I was like, wow, this is like really cool. Now I kind of like listen to like a lot of stuff. Like I can't even like pinpoint it to a genre because like I know what I make like musically, but like I listen to a lot of different stuff. But I've recently been like trying to like find like smaller bands and like bands from like other countries and stuff that I haven't listened to before. Like I think they're Norwegian or Swedish, but they're called Pompoko, and they're really cool. So like my entire like all my bandmates are like obsessed with them now, so we like are really like trying to find like other like artists at our level, so it's kind of cool to like like be on the same level as who you're listening to and like connect with them on that way. So
That's super interesting. So it's cool that you say you know what music you make. Could you describe it for me? It's
I mean, I
interesting.
think my music genre is still like evolving. Like I don't know if I could pinpoint it like exactly, but I know I fall in like kind of like the indie like bedroom pop like category. Definitely my new stuff is moving into more like indie rock, more like guitar based. I definitely know like I fall into that like general category, but I'm inspired by like a lot of like 90s music too, like obviously Fiona Apple's like early 2000s, late 90s. And then like I really like Juliana Hatfield and also PJ Harvey. They're like kind of like in the same boat as like Fiona Apple, but like lesser known. So they're really cool.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So is that where you'd like to take your musical direction? More like as bedroom rock, pop rock kind of? Like, where do you feel like you'd want to continue developing, especially with like your new song Darling coming out soon, and you released Unbecoming. So is that where you want to go, like more rock sounding, guitar based?
Yeah, I definitely think my new stuff is like moving towards where like I'm hoping to go with my music, but I've been playing a lot like live with my band. So that's definitely influenced like how I wanted to like the songs to sound record, because I want them to sound like pretty similar to how they sound live, and also be like songs we can play and that will be like really fun live. So that's like also been like in the back of my head when I'm creating stuff, like is this gonna sound like really cool on stage? So
Do you like performing live? Like, do you not get stage fright? Is it not a little bit nerve-wracking?
I mean, I haven't performed that much. I actually did my first show like a year and a half ago. So like that was like my first time literally like ever singing in front of a crowd. So it
They go.
definitely was like nerve wracking, but I've gotten like a lot more used to it. It's crazy how like quickly, like as soon as you start doing it like more often, like you just get used to it. And now like when I'm on stage, it's not so bad, but it's actually like beforehand that I get nervous. But it actually feels like good now to be on stage. So
Continuing with, performing live, what venue do you think is like, I need to perform here at least once in my life, once in my career? Like, where's the one place?
I don't know. I mean, there's like a lot of venues that I've like really wanted to perform at. I think like what has like the most sentimental value is like recently I interned for a venue in Brooklyn called Elsewhere, and they're really cool. Like a lot of like big artists like Mitski like got their start kind of like playing there, and they've like really grown because they're one of like the biggest like independent venues. So I would love to eventually play there like when I like can pull like a bigger crowd and stuff, because like I worked there, so it'd be fun to like play there. But also it's like such an inclusive like environment, and like they try to keep all the shows like really safe and like like just a nice environment for everyone. So that's like something really important to me about like performing live, is that like the venues invested in like making it a great show. So
That's great. That's really cool. Okay, so I kind of want to move into your aesthetic because you have a very distinct aesthetic. And I really love it. It's very much like bright, flowery, pastel colors. But where did that come from? How did it develop? I'm really interested, especially with the host like crocheted strawberry hat. I feel like it's very distinctly you and it's very iconic to you. So how did that come about?
well, I think I've always like, because when I was younger, I started off like on Instagram and stuff, like sharing my music and like my writing through a blog. So that's like kind of where I started developing like that aesthetic, because I like had to like make it look cute and like people want to click on it so they would read it. So that was kind of like how I got started. But I actually went to school for visual arts, so like I know how to paint and stuff. So I like do all my own like photos and stuff usually. So I try to like keep it as like true to myself, and usually I just happen to pick things that are like very like, I don't know, cutesy, or like like you said, pastel, like that kind of just happens to be like what I like personally. So then like because I'm doing like my own like art and stuff, it just kind of happens to be that way. But I think like you said, like I've tried to like continue it now because it's become like distinct to my music. So
So you do your own cover art and everything? Because that's
yeah.
crazy good. Oh my goodness. So how's like the process of doing your cover art and your own pictures and everything versus the process of making music?
Because I've been doing visual art for like school and stuff too, like I think it really changed my mindset. Like I'm able to like kind of like view it as like, oh, this is like a project that needs to be done. Whereas like when I'm creating music, it's kind of like just like free flowing, and like it's like, oh, I have to write this song. So like it's become a bit different. Like sometimes I do a painting where I'm like, oh, I just really want to paint like a rabbit or something. But like But definitely like it's I would say the music process is like more like it's easier for me now because I feel like because I had so much school influencing like how I like wanted to like create, it was like making me overthink it. So I don't like overthink it as much with the music and stuff. Like I still think a lot about it, but I try not to like go to the point where I'm like being self-critical. So
I see. I see. That's very interesting. So, how do you deal with block? Do you ever like have stages in time where you're just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's happening.
yeah, definitely. I try to deal with that like just like by like getting inspiration. Like I don't know, like I've gone months and then I'll be like, oh gosh, I haven't written a song in like forever. Like I need to sit down. But like I can't like force myself to. So like I find like the best ways to like try to find some sort of inspiration, like whether it's like listening to like other people's music or just like I always try to listen to like a lot of music, like even if it's something I don't like and like I don't end up like saving it to my playlist or something, like at least like I have like more of like an idea of like what people are creating and like different things they're trying out, and then I can like experiment more because like I'll be like, oh, like that keys sound is like really cool in this song, so then I like show it to my boyfriend. And that's kind of how like I've been trying to get through those like blocks.
So, you're an indie artist, and as far as that goes, what challenges do you feel like you've faced? What's the hardest thing about being an indie artist for you?
I think for me, like personally, I think it would be like because I am doing a lot of like the things myself, like promotion, the artwork, and like the music too. Like it's hard not to like as I said before, like get self-critical because like you worked so hard on like every aspect of it, and then you're like, oh, like if it doesn't turn out like exactly how I want it, like you kind of get like that profession like you're trying to be like perfect with like what you're doing, but like it's not possible. Like nothing's ever going to be perfect. So I just get like self-critical. I think that's been my biggest thing to like overcome. I definitely try to like get other people's like opinions and stuff just like so that I don't like get too in my head about it, because I feel like we form our own like weird opinions about ourselves.
Definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to like get other people's opinions so they're like, like honest with me, and like it's not like, my like own self like weirdness like
Criticisms.
influencing. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you look for when you look for criticism in other people? Like, what constitutes as constructive criticism for you versus just like, oh, you just don't like my music? Like, what do you look for when you want to improve?
Yeah, definitely. I think I try to like I do have like a lot of songs now out. So like I try to like, get people to tell me like what elements of like certain songs, like if they're just listening to my music generally, like what they like about certain songs, so then I can kind of like reuse and like incorporate those in different ways into my next songs. And also like when I have like I make my whole family listen to my demos and stuff, so
Yeah.
I show them to them and I'm like, does this sound like something you would hear and not think like anything sounds like weird? Like it just sounds like a song. Because like a lot of my family doesn't have like the production like background that like some of my friends have. So like when I ask them, they don't really know how to put it into words. So they're like, so I'm just like, what's like the vibe? Does it like sound like normal?
That's smart. I see you're getting like a lot of criticism from both professionals and just people that listen to music.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm guessing your family is very supportive of you pursuing music.
Yeah, definitely. My mom and my dad are like at all my shows. So
Oh, that's sweet. That's really, really sweet. Okay, so what do you think your music means to you? Like, as an outsider, if you were to listen to your own music without the perspective of you having made it, what would you want it to mean to you?
yeah, I think definitely I would want like people to just like view my music as kind of like almost like honest, like a diary almost. Like I write things very honestly, but also like I try to like write throughout time so that I'm like growing in my songs. Like I'm not just like, oh, this is a sad song where I don't like get anywhere in the end. And like so I wanted to kind of be like slowly like showing my journey, like not only personally but to like encourage other people to like, you know, like have a better mindset about like certain things, or like to be introspective and like think about like their emotions and like, you know, inner thoughts and dreams, whatever the song's about. But
Okay. So what do you feel like is your favorite song out of, do you have a favorite song out of all the songs you've written?
I don't really have a favorite song. It tends to be whatever like my unreleased song is. So like Darling's definitely like my personal favorite right now just because it's new. But then once it comes out, I'll start to not like it anymore. But like Sweeter Honey was actually like one of the first songs I ever wrote. So like that like has like sentimental value to me, like, and it'll probably always have that because it's like one of the first songs I wrote. But yeah.
Right? Which is actually something I wanted to discuss. There's lots of themes of food, and I personally love it. I think your EP is like one of the best that I've heard all week. It really made my day. So you've got like lots of themes of food. Where does that come from?
I think honestly, like it's been like part of my culture being half Chinese. Also, like my family, like I have a song called Bitter Melon too, which is like literally something that's in a lot of Chinese dishes. So it was like an important thing in my life. Like food was like always the focus, whether I liked the food or not. Like I've always been like the kind of person that will like eat whatever. I also have like many food allergies. So like it's been a struggle. But yeah, like being Chinese, like my family's like very much about food, like and cooking and like being in the kitchen. That's like where our family kind of like does everything and like hangs out. So
Oh, so cooking's a very big part of your relationships with your family.
yeah, and also just like how I grew up, like I just always remember being in the kitchen, like sitting at the dining table, like while my like parents are cooking and stuff. So
That's really cool. That's really cool. So is this a theme that you want to continue with?
hopefully I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate it in some way that's like natural and like doesn't seem like, you know, like I'm like forcing like strawberries and like blueberries in your face. But like definitely I think because like also because my last name is a fruit, I just like want to like incorporate it some way that's like, you know, natural to my music. Like certain foods just like speak to me. I don't know why. Like I had pet rabbits for a while and they would eat like all these random like vegetables and stuff. So that's how I kind of like, you know, like got into like, and I was vegetarian for a while but not anymore sadly. But um but like it's always been like about like I like fruits and vegetables. I feel like they have like a very like, you know, like they're part of nature, like they're healing things, like they help us. And like I think that's kind of like what I want people to get out of the music too, is also like it's like enjoyable but it's also like good for you, like you should think about it and like take it with heart. So yeah.
Really cool message. I really appreciate that. So with Darling, what are you most excited about? Is there like anything you could tell us about it? Does it have any food related themes?
Yeah, I actually like it's a newer like kind of like style for me just because I worked with like my friend Harper James, who also is a musician and producer. And you know, me, him and my boyfriend Spoonule like all kind of collaborated and it was like really fun. And it kind of like changed up the process for me of like creating, because usually it's just me and my boyfriend. So like but like adding someone else in was kind of cool. And I think it sounds really good. The song itself is, you know, kind of about like finding your voice. And I think hopefully it will like resonate with people, like because it can be seen as like kind of like a story about like a relationship, but it's also like the relationship you have with yourself and how that impacts like the relationships you have with other people. So
You were saying that you're working with new people and that's changing up the process. How do you feel like, how do you feel about change, basically? Like, how does change impact the way you make music, especially since, goodness forbid, I don't like mentioning the pandemic, but especially with like the pandemic, how do you feel like change has impacted you and your music?
yeah, I think it's definitely forced me to like adapt, and like sometimes like definitely with the pandemic, like I've been unsure of like where like I am with like my creative process. But like I think it also like gave me a lot of time to really like get started on like building my like, music up, and like, really diving into like songs and working like really, really hard on them. So I think definitely like with change, it's definitely something I struggle with because I like my little routine, and like I I'll always like I pretty much always write like my lyrics in my like beginning of the songs, like in my room on my bed. Like that's kind of where I'll always write them. But like once I have the song written and like I feel like I can share it with people, then is when I kind of like am like, okay, like I have to be open to change, because like that's how like the best ideas sometimes come out. And like, you don't want to be making the same song over and over and over again. So it's kind of, yeah.
I see. Are there any producers that you'd like to work with that you feel like would change you for the better?
Um, I mean, I'm honestly not too like well versed on producers, but like I definitely know like I love Alex G, and I know he produces like a lot of his own stuff. And I think what he does with like vocal modulation is really cool, because he can make himself sound like different people, which is really awesome. So like I would definitely like, like give an arm and a leg to work with him, because he's amazing. He's like, and also his new song is just like I've been listening to it on repeat. So
What because you're saying that the pandemic gave you a lot of time to grow, like musically. What goals do you have for yourself then? Do you set goals, or do you feel like goals are kind of limiting? Because if you don't meet it, it's like, oh no, it's disappointing. But if you do, it's great. So like, do you set goals? And if you do, what kind of
um
goals?
I think I have like general goals for like myself. Like I try not to like set a specific goal like, oh, I'm gonna hit like 10,000 listeners on Spotify, because I feel like that's such like a like thing that's up to chance, and also up to things that can happen. Like you never know what like could happen. And also like numbers are numbers. So at the end of the day, like I really try to just set goals for myself, like personally, like okay, like this next performance will be better than my last one. Like I'm improving. Like I just like overall want to like improve and definitely like be more comfortable like and confident in my music and like performing. So like that's definitely been like my just like general goal, but I try not to like set specific goals, like especially for like songs and like stuff. Like I feel like people get caught up in like that sometimes, because it
Oh,
can get disappointing.
it can. Is that how you stay motivated then? By just allowing yourself to be? Like, how do you stay motivated? Because it sounds like being an indie artist can be difficult, especially when you said
Yeah.
you're like very self-critical, which you'd always want the best for yourself. But I feel like that can be, for me personally, can be a little bit like limiting. So how do you stay motivated?
Yeah, I guess I stay motivated just by like I definitely have like a naturally like persistent like personality. Like I like if I like with music, it's always been like something that I'm really passionate about. So like I try to like surround myself with people who are also like passionate about something, like not just music, but like anything. Cause like I think when you see people doing like what they love and like how they can like make it work with their life and like everything that's going on, like it teaches you how to like do that personally. So I stay motivated like through my friends and like family, because like I have a lot of musician friends, and like even just like opening Instagram and like seeing what they're doing, and like they're like, oh, I just just got on this playlist, or I just performed this show. It's like really cool to see that, because like you watch like people from like performing in their bedrooms to like being on like a huge stage. So
That's cool. It sounds like you're a person that really thrives off of community. Um,
yeah.
that being said, what kind of outreach, what kind of demographic do you want to reach next? Like what kind of people do you want to attract to your music and to yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think like I just want to like I don't think my music specifically like for anyone, but I definitely think that like just being who I am, like I definitely want to, you know, reach out to people who like feel like, maybe like they're struggling mentally, or like just like they've been in that place that I've been in many times, where it's just like you're not quite sure of like, yourself, or like you don't know who you are as a person, and kind of like still finding yourself. Like I think those people are like definitely people who will like understand my music and like where I'm coming from. So like that's definitely like just like the type of general person that I'm like reaching out to. So
One last question. What are you most proud about? Just celebrating your achievements. What makes you most proud about your musical journey?
I think just like my like the fact that I've actually like released so many songs. I think a lot of artists like it's really hard. Like most people don't realize that like a lot of artists don't want to release things. Like they're just like very like it's a scary thing to put out like your baby like into the world. Like it's like something you've been working on for months. So like I just try to like walk away from a song at some point and just be like, okay, now like I have to let you go. Like
Send you
so
out into the world.
yeah, so I'm definitely proud of myself that I think throughout like if you listen to like my first songs like compared to now, like you can definitely see like the growth and like the difference. So
No, thank you so much. Thank you again. I keep saying thank you, but I'm really glad I got to interview you. I've got some many insightful news about you now, and I'm really glad you came out today. I really do like your music, and I know that you'll succeed. So, um,
thank you.
here's to here's to you succeed.
Oh, thank you so much.